So I'm involved with this group called Big Love, and I hope that you know that we started that organization out of a love of the community, of the city of Akron. So this comes out of a place of reflective solutions as we look at the fact that we are environmental creatures that have experienced great atrocity in urban design in the United States. In 1939, homeowners loan corporations created a map for Akron called Akron's Residential Security Map, where the red line areas were considered unsafe and unsuitable, boxing poor people into their neighborhoods with little hope of receiving any sort of loan to revitalize those neighborhoods. Those areas were oftentimes heavily polluted by the rubber industry. Ghettos were defined and started in Italy and grew quickly throughout fascist Europe. There was a quarter in a city where the Jews were restricted and was the beginning of Hitler's death camps. In 1908, slum areas in the United States became referred to as ghettos and were continued to be defined as a place where certain peoples of race and class were put in a city. In 1920s to 1940s, our city tripled in size because of the rubber recruitment that happened of African Americans in the South, where the Great Migration North dubbed Akron the capital of Alabama. During this time also, the KKK was a prominent force within our city. This is in part because before 1910, the area was predominantly WASP, German, and Irish. Between 1910 to 1920, there was a huge influx of Eastern Europeans, Mediterraneans, and Appalachians that were judged Catholicism and Jewish attributes, and were similarly ghettoized. In the 1960s, decisions to continue to separate amongst class and race decided in the building of the Inner Belt right through the historic Black Jazz District. This has left a scar in our community of the institutionalized hatred and fear. That same fear of the stranger is what led to the white flight of the 1960s, which helped people get in and out of downtown quickly with little care for revenue for the city. It grew our city's footprint, but kept racialized barriers intact within neighborhoods, simultaneously creating modeled home communities with little to no individuality amongst properties, put up large fences, and everything was based off of the automobile, which led to a mass normalization of U.S. culture. This mass normalization of U.S. culture has created a loss of identity, a separation, a creation of things being impersonable as human relationships were digitalized, and this loss of identity was cemented by the loss of the rubber industry and what we had to identify ourselves as a city. This was brought around by a larger worldwide conditioning that was perfected by colonization in the Roman grid. The grid was created to export resources quickly out of native areas and to create a police state within those areas to keep people under wraps. But in reality, we actually used to create cities like this, where communities protected one another and faced inward to create public spaces in the middle, that because people were more concerned with who they were as a community than they were about what resources they could export and what people they could exploit. This is the main tenet of an organization called the City Repair Project in Portland, Oregon. They're leading urban permaculture for 20 years around sustainable placemaking. They have led in neighbor-led neighborhood design of public spaces, and this has helped Portland create its own identity that it makes the thriving city that it is. Mark Lakeman and his neighbors began to retrofit the grid. They did this through a number of ways of painting the streets, which helped to create identity, slow traffic, as well as create a public commons. And they would create food forest edges to feed their community and shelters for people to hang out and exchange things. But that is not entirely what's most important for us, because Portland is different than Akron. Portland has 500 people that move there every day. Akron has 12 families that move from here every week. And in that, also, we have this outdated identity. But what is truly exciting is the neighbor-led neighborhood design, or participatory design, that is based off of people care, planet care, and equal share. This is done through a technique called tactical urbanism, which is pop-up to semi-permanent structures that can be used to inform and create space to create more permanent design. These are some examples of that happening in Akron. Here we have Better Block and 500 plates that one of my best friends helped to put on. This helps to create what a neighborhood needs in an inexpensive way through people and resource capital that teaches new skills of physical construction, artistic and design principles, community organizing skills, gardening, and energy collection and banking. Why this is so important is to help create healthy urban environments. It is 2016 and it is time to have that conversation. Creating spaces to activate that spur a localized economy through caring for ourselves and the spaces that we inhabit. But mostly it's about you, and it's about me, and it's about us embracing the stranger. Creating a world of overflowing love and abundance through our collective work and resource power. So please join us in our community love as artists, healing practitioners, gardeners, or civic peoples that would love to join us on March 9th or March 12th. And this is because we are in the heart of it all. As Akron can be the heart of Ohio, which is the heart of the United States, and that is how we change the world.